I heard of you way back in the day, and I was surprised to know that you're still going at it.
Yeah, it's 5 years, I think, or it will be 5 years towards the end of the year. Um, I believe in 2016, in May, I think I closed my bank account. And from like May to like October or something, I was living unbanked off of Bitcoin. And then Bitcoin started to have issues, and I switched to Dash later in the year. So it's coming up on 5 years.
Coming up on 5 years, and I mean, I'm wondering, did it get easier or harder? That
It's
was like the
gotten
one bit I couldn't I couldn't find.
it's gotten way easier. Some cases no, but most cases yes. In back in the early days, there was there's never really been a high rate of crypto adoption anywhere in the world for any coin at all. It just
No.
we've been doing our best, but for example, there was when I was using Bitcoin, I relied a lot on services that accepted Bitcoin, not a lot of direct payments. And when I switched to Dash, about a third of those services I could still pay directly in Dash, and the other two thirds I used something called Shapeshift. I don't know if people remember back in the day. Shapeshift was an app that allowed you to switch between cryptos, and they had a functionality like, for example, if a site only accepted Bitcoin, because most of them did, they had a functionality that let you pay in something like Dash, and it would switch it over to Bitcoin and send it to them.
Is this Eric Borges Shapeshift?
Yes,
We had
yes,
Ken Barton from Shapeshift the other day here in the podcast. He was great. He's the head of research in
yeah.
there, and this was even before the whole progressive decentralization thing came on. So I'm
Well,
looking forward to
well,
having them back.
I don't want to promote my channel too much, but this week I did upload an interview I did with Eric Voorhees about exactly that, the progressive decentralization part. And so if you want to look at that and then find new questions you want to ask them that I did not ask, then that would be a good starting point.
Yeah, that's a great starting point. But sorry, you were saying like
Mm-hmm.
back in the day it was all Shapeshift, and now?
Yeah, so it was like 2/3 of what I did was Shapeshift, and 1/3 was paying Dash directly for things that took it. And now, first off, Shapeshift, the old Shapeshift doesn't exist anymore and hasn't existed for a very long time. For a couple years, they had to do KYC and things like that, and then also it just became infeasible to. No one was paying with Bitcoin anymore, so no one wanted to convert. All the old places that had a Shapeshift button on them just changed to accepting different coins directly. So now I've been using only Dash for quite some time. I don't think I've had to switch it over for anything. The only thing I've ever had to switch Dash over for in the last like 3 or so years has been, there's this one pizza shop around the corner that has a point of sale system that accepts Bitcoin Cash and Dash, but they have not implemented Dash yet. And I've been trying to contact the owner, and he's very busy to like say just enable this one thing, and then we'll be much happier. But other than that, that's like the one reason I've had to switch over to something else in the last 3 years for the most part.
And what was the something else?
Bitcoin Cash. And
Right.
the reason for that is because he's sort of the owner of the pizza shop went in to uh, buy Bitcoin from an ATM, and the owner of the ATM uh, runs the AnyPay point of sale system, or the former. I don't know if they're in the ATM business anymore, but at the time they did that, and then just said, "Hey, you're buying this stuff. Why don't you take it for your business?" And he's like, "Oh, okay," but he didn't know like very low information on crypto in general. Just like, all right, I'll take the Bitcoin. And so they got him to take a few different kinds of Bitcoin, but still just the Bitcoin. So other than that, it's been basically able to do whatever.
Is it sort of like an ideological standpoint that you just wouldn't use BTC?
There are some people, I mean, that I would not,
Sorry?
or the business. I mean, for me, an ideological thing,
Yeah,
or
for
for a
yourself.
business owner. Uh, Not really, because obviously that ideological standpoint did not prevent me from using BTC when I was living off of it. The
Right.
problem is it just became impractical at some point because the fees started to get too expensive, the transaction times became too long, and also very few new services started to accept it and it just became, difficult. And that was what, like 5 years straight of being difficult to use. And so I'm not going to sit around waiting for it to be useful. I'm living my life in the meantime. I do run a Lightning Network node, and I'm trying to use that just not because I need to, not because it serves a practical purpose to me at all, but for an experimental purpose. I just want to see if this is ever going to work as something to send BTC, or can I just forget about it completely?
I was just writing an article about Lightning, well,
Hmm.
layer twos in general, and I was very
Yeah.
surprised to see all the misconceptions that we have as a community about Lightning. Like
Hmm.
once you go actually deep into how it works, and
Hmm.
forget about like the selling points of it or the marketing of it,
Hmm.
and you get right into the workings, it's very different of how you would initially conceptualize
Hmm.
it.